I can't take this anymore. If you haven't heard of Chris Pratt, you've probably been living under a metaphorical rock, because I swear even Patrick Star has heard of this guy. Every time that he's casted as the voice of some sort of character, the internet goes nuts. The last time it was Mario, this time it's Garfield. So let's talk about this. Chris Pratt is a good actor, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's famous for that one meme, right? Because he played Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy, or Andy from Parks and Recreation, or Owen from Jurassic World. But there's more to it than that. You see, he's also a voice actor. He gets cast many parts in movies where it's an animated movie, and you don't actually see him act, but rather just the voice. I mean, this isn't something crazy, right? Most actors go through a voice acting phase in their careers, and it's completely normal. For example, let's say that you had someone who played Spider-Man. If you suddenly had an animated version of Spider-Man, well, you'd probably want to use the same voice actor, for consistency's sake. That being said, Chris Pratt isn't the same. Let's look at an example. The Lego Movie, alright? This thing was the central defining thing of my childhood. I have very fond memories of going and seeing it over 5 times. I love this thing. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, for some reason, please watch it. Only the first one. The second one was a flop. But it was a really good movie. And it was, to my surprise, years later, that I learned that Chris Pratt actually played Emmett, the main character of the actual movie. But he did it so well, because Emmett is a new character. We don't actually have any biases or expectations coming into this movie, because he's just your average Joe. He's some guy. That's literally how he's advertised in the movie. He's just an ordinary dude. So it makes sense to have someone with an ordinary voice, like Chris Pratt, voice this guy. And it was great. I mean, 10 out of 10, really. But then you have something like the Mario movie. Now, the Mario movie caused a lot of uproar because people really, really wanted the original voice actor for Mario to come in and voice it, right? You know, the guy goes, "Hey, I cook a meatball." You know, the classic Italian accent. Where is that? I mean, if you look at Chris Pratt's performance, wahoo! It isn't that good. However, the old voice actor for Mario openly said that he wouldn't have been able to record a 1.5-hour movie with the voice. It would have cost too much strain on it. And I completely understand that. Some voices you cannot do it for an extended period of time. I can say that from experience. So it makes sense that they would have had to come in for a compromise, which is why they chose Chris Pratt. And yes, I feel like if you go back and watch all the trailers, they put the worst performances that Chris Pratt did in the entire movie. They chose those for some reason in the trailer. So if you actually watch the movie and then compare it to the scenes that are shown in the trailer, you'll see a very different perception of Chris Pratt as Mario. The one thing I would really say is the classic wahoo is horrible, but beyond that, he did an alright job. And then there's Garfield. Yeah, Chris Pratt is casted as Garfield for the upcoming movie next summer. The thing is, we already have a voice for Garfield, right? I mean, I grew up watching the Garfield show, and I loved that thing. It was amazing. My family loved it. It's peak comedy, let's be honest. The thing is, Frank Welker, the guy who voices Garfield in the Garfield show, is very much alive and well. And although he's still kicking at 77, I don't know if he'd be able to take the spot, but I feel like there's a lot of people who could do better than Chris Pratt. When I sat down with my friends in a call and I watched the Garfield trailer for the very first time, I had a very high expectation. Now, it wasn't extremely high because, of course, you can have a unique spin on it and everything, but I was hoping that at least it would meet my expectations. And it did. The animation was beautiful and everything. It was very cute. And I loved the spin-on comedy where it's this classic bait and switch where you're expecting this cute little fur ball and then suddenly it's Garfield. He's eating everything. It's great. Excellent. I loved it. Until Garfield opened his mouth. Jesus Christ, it's Chris Pratt. It just sounds like Chris Pratt. It's not Garfield. I'm sorry, Garfield is lazy. He's a lazy cat who hates Mondays. You cannot just give him a normal voice and expect to get away with it. And yeah, you can argue that John's voice isn't that good either, but the fact is it's voiced by Nicholas Hoult, and Nicholas Hoult is an actually experienced voice actor and impressionist, so it's not Jack Black levels, but it's something. Also, he played in The Current War. Please, watch The Current War. Great movie. And that's the thing. I feel like I can be qualified to make an argument here that Chris Pratt should not be Garfield. I used to be a voice actor, and then AI came in and screwed me up, but whatever, that doesn't matter. The point is, I have genuine experience in the field, and so I know the difference between a voice actor and an impressionist. You see, a lot of people can't actually tell the difference. A voice actor is someone who just does a voice. For example, I can say, "I am the mighty Zeus," and it sounds like Zeus, but because you don't actually have a voice associated with it. But if you were to ask me to do Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob me boy, you're 2 seconds late for work. Again, that's not an excellent voice because that's an impression. You already have an expectation of what Mr. Krabs sounds like, so you can compare it. That's the difference. A voice actor just does a voice for a character that doesn't have one. An impressionist does something completely different where you already have a character that is fleshed out, we already have a voice, and now we need to recreate it. There's very talented impressionists out there. Those people who can basically perfectly mimic voices like Donald Trump.
Hello, Peter. Welcome to Fortnite.
Or Peter Griffin.
Oh, you think this is funny? What?
Love those guys. Amazing. And I really, really envy them for that type of skill. So Chris Pratt is a good actor. Chris Pratt is a good voice actor, but he's not a good impressionist. And we don't need a voice actor. We need an impressionist for the Garfield movie. So please swap them out. I know movies love doing this thing where they just take a big name actor and then shove them into a movie hoping that it'll bring them more money. And sometimes it works, but it's like Josh Hutcherson. The FNAF movie was good and Josh Hutcherson did a good job, but it wasn't necessary. I mean, at least it didn't put, The Rock as Freddy Fazbear or something. So it could have been much worse. But constantly using the same person, Chris Pratt, as a voice, come on, guys. Just put someone else, please. I'm not asking you to put Danny DeVito as Garfield, but he might actually do a better job. That's all I have to say. But before I end off this video, I did want to do something else. I decided to recreate one of the scenes from the Garfield movie trailer, except I put in more effort into voicing it than Chris Pratt. Enjoy.
And that's how I adopted John. Never John. Bury me in cheese. I apologize in advance. The eating you're about to see will not be pretty. And if you have young children, this would be a good time for them to leave the room.
I've never jumped.
Okay, and also subscribe.
I know where you live.